Hello, and welcome to our technology for ETEC 5700.
I'm Kathy Coldwell. I'm known in class as Mary Katherine Coldwell, and I'm a fifth grade teacher at Parkview Elementary in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And my email is listed below, so you can contact me with questions or comments. I'd love to hear from you.
And I'm Katie McGuire. I'm known as Katherine Hicks in the class, and I'm an 8th grade ELA teacher at Pitcher Junior High in Covington, and my email address is also listed on the screen.
In beginning this project, we were looking for a quote to kind of sum up what we were doing. And we really loved this quote from our textbook, Technology Leadership for School Improvement, because it talks about how technology is so essential, not only for industry and businesses, but also for education.
So the big concept of the big idea was we were thinking and we thought in a perfect world, teachers wouldn't start out with a new piece of technology thinking, yeah, I'm not going to use that in my classroom. Instead, they would say, wow, what an awesome tool. I can't wait to use this. So why doesn't this happen? Why does this new piece of technology sit on a shelf collecting dust? Is it because the teacher resists the idea of change, or is it because there isn't enough time to learn the technology and change lessons to fit around this technology? The answer is usually the latter, but hopefully with the creation of our technology leadership model, that way of thinking will soon come to an end.
This graphic kind of depicts that process of a teacher going to a training, and at first, they're just completely overwhelmed. This would maybe be a teacher who's a little bit tech resistant, maybe tech anxious, and then it follows their progress all the way possibly to a technology innovator. Oftentimes teachers go to a training and they're presented with a massive amount of technological information in a single training session, only to feel completely overwhelmed, to the point that the strategies or tools are never even used in their classroom. Our model focuses on a process to support teachers as they travel along this continuum.
So in order for teachers to become those innovators, more support is needed to get them there and increase their proficiency with tech integration. Our model starts with the training sessions, which will give info about the whys and hows of integration, which will move into peer support, which would give ongoing support during weekly planning and reflection sessions, and finished up with the TPAC.
TPAC is the goal, and our model shows that this is a cyclical process. Teachers have to be trained and supported in order to successfully implement TPAC. Technology is so overwhelming that often teachers don't even know how to go about talking about it. Teachers are just thrown into the deep end. And so our thought was, why not implement training sessions at the school site when the teachers are already there? Many schools have teacher training days or half days. And teachers already know how to plan lessons, but they don't have a framework in place to support incorporating that technology into their lessons. Teachers often don't have the shared vocabulary that allows them to discuss this further in their grade planning, their grade level plannings either. So our model provides this framework by having a monthly training session that will take one small piece of a larger content area and focus in on that one piece. That one piece then will become the theme for an entire month.
So during these training sessions, the STAMR model will be used as a planning and reflection tool. This will eventually segue into the technological knowledge section of the TPAC model, but that's not until the teachers are more proficient with choosing tasks that are appropriate for their students and their content area. This is a great starting point to build a framework to support teachers as they try to increase the technology in their lessons. The first two, substitution and augmentation, those are about enhancing, where the second two, modification and redefinition, those are about transforming. These lessons are entirely dependent on technology. With substitution and augmentation, the assignment is teacher-led, where the teacher has prepared the assignment, for example, a drag and drop, and the students finish it. With the modification and redefinition, it's completely student-led, where the students are starting a project from scratch, for example, an iBook movie trailer.
This is a great graphic that you could hand out to teachers or have available at training sessions. It shows some examples of tasks that students might perform in class and where those tasks fall within the STAMR model. For example, looking at note-taking, students typically take notes in class on, paper. If you wanted to substitute that with technology, you could have students use something like iOS Notes or Google Docs instead of a pencil and paper. If you want to move along further, you could have them augment a little bit by choosing their own notes app, maybe adding some annotations. Students could, move all the way through to where teachers actually have access to the notes that from the entire class through maybe a Google Classroom. Now, it's important to understand, though, that this SAMR model is not a ladder, it's not a hierarchy, and that really you need to think about some important questions to help pick appropriate use of technology for each task. And those questions should be asked whenever teachers are planning or reflecting upon their teaching. So this now brings us to our weekly grade level meetings, where teachers should receive ongoing peer support as they work to integrate technology.
Like Kathy said, the next component of our model is peer support, which is incorporated through weekly grade level meetings or professional learning community meetings. It allows teachers to follow up to put what they learned from the monthly training sessions into practice. Peer support sessions take those training sessions further. They push technology on the reluctant teachers. These support sessions will help teachers discuss and start using the shared vocabulary the SAMR model gave, so everyone can be on the same page and know what each tool is going to do for their lesson and students. The next couple of slides provide guiding questions teachers can use in the weekly sessions to figure out what each tool will do in their class.
Right. So Katie was saying they provide the questions. This is another great graphic that would be fantastic to have posted in a teacher work area or just to have available at these weekly planning meetings. These guiding questions can help provide a framework for teachers, even those that are tech reluctant. But it's important to realize that having reluctant teachers begin to use technology tools, even if they're just using them to substitute technology for paper, can still offer pretty significant improvements in functionality. One example is the workshop that I recently gave at my school site, teaching how to create multiple choice self-grading quizzes in Google Forms. And the question was raised that why should we go to the trouble of taking multiple choice quizzes that we already have on paper and putting them in Google Forms, until the teachers discovered that the quizzes grade themselves. And not only that, the students were receiving immediate feedback on how they had done on those assessments. And so at that point, even just the substitution became a big, big deal. This is another great graphic to have in those grade level meetings because it shows an example of how you would take a task that's traditionally done on paper and pencil, like a book report, and you could use technology to type up the book report, which adds benefits in its own right of learning keyboarding skills, etc. If you added spell checking and word count, thesaurus, that's augmenting the task in a way that students could still do in a classroom setting by going over to the library and picking up a dictionary or a thesaurus, but it's just a lot easier to do it within the technology. If you extend this out and allow students to create presentations like a PowerPoint or a Google slide, then really you're kind of modifying it. This is no longer really a book report, it's a presentation. And if students are really into it and capable, they could even run with this and make, like Katie referenced earlier, a movie trailer, but it's for a book instead of a movie. This could even be live action with videos or voiceovers or animations. And students could even upload this video to, say, a Google Classroom site.
Okay, to finish up the SAMR model, it's important to remember that this is not linear. It's very flexible, and not every lesson should hit the redefinition category. As a teacher, you're going to jump back and forth between the different categories, even though a teacher that's new to technology should start with the substitution and augmentation categories. A great tool that the SAMR model provides is a shared vocabulary, so the teachers can use all the same words to explain what they're doing. Everyone's on the same page, and we know what they're doing, and the SAMR model provides that.
So in order to further support teachers and provide them some anchoring, this framework was adapted from languages.org's blog, which has tons of additional information about breaking down the process of planning technology integration and making smaller, more manageable tasks for teachers. SAMR is kind of the meeting point of pedagogical information and technological information. using this format provides an anchor. Teachers are already familiar with good pedagogy, like having a goal and having a procedure or a process to move students toward that goal, and also a way to show or communicate what they know. This framework simply adds technology tools. So I condensed what was at languages, and then we just kind of added it into our own little framework. To give you an example of how this would look completed, this is adapted from a lesson on Louisiana Believes from the 5th grade Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe unit. And if you just look at substitution level, the goal there is to use tech tools to research images. But look at the process. We are using, even though we're just substituting paper and images and pictures, students are actually using those images to analyze how they contribute to the meaning and tone of the text. Guys, that's a pretty high order thinking skill right there. Technology is really simple. They would just use a Google search to do some research. And the way they'd show what they know could be one-to-one between teacher and student, or they could even be one to their group where the student is sharing with their group. You can pause the video if you want to look a little further at how this would work, but I think it's fairly explanatory in and of itself.
Okay, so the third category in our model is the TPAC model, and this shows us that there's a relationship between technology, content, and pedagogy, and the purposeful blending of them is key. Eventually, TPAC will be implemented in training sessions and peer support, but those technophobic teachers may become overwhelmed by TPAC at first, so this is why we aren't introducing this until after the holiday break, after they're familiar with the SAMR model and vocabulary, to help them come up with ways to plan lessons. Hitting all three concepts or the TPAC is the goal, but it will not happen at first. Okay, so there's a common misconception that because technology is on top that it's the most important, but that's not true. The technological knowledge tool is more of a layer that's used once the standards have been addressed and the best instructional strategy has been chosen. The TPAC model is a balance between technology, content, and learning styles, where TPAC is the target.
Okay, because TPAC tends to be confusing at first, we decided to include a quick video about TPAC, so let's have a watch.
Here's TPAC in 2 minutes. For more information, visit tpac.org. So first we have to ask, what is it? Well, TPAC is a framework that combines 3 knowledge areas: technological knowledge, content knowledge, and pedagogical knowledge. And it looks at how they work together to increase student motivation and to make the content more accessible to students. We look at the content as the breadth. It's the subject matter we're teaching, like biology, music, algebra, health, geometry, or other history, to name a few. Then we look at our pedagogical knowledge. It's the how. Every teacher has tools, so let's put them to use. Are we going to be using direct instruction? Will this be inquiry-based group discussions? How are we going to make the content more accessible and when we present it to our students? Then we look at selecting the appropriate technology because it's the partner. What tool will we select to make the content more accessible to the students while supporting the pedagogical strategy which we've identified will help to deliver this information to students? We will also identify those support features to really help us use technology to reach our outcome. As we understand it individually, we can start to see overlaps. Our TP knowledge allows us to understand how making the content more accessible. Our TC knowledge allows us to identify the affordances of applying the appropriate technology to the content. And our PC knowledge allows us to identify the affordances of applying the appropriate pedagogical strategies with the content. Feedback comes from the overlapping and that center spot, or as referred to as the sweet spot, when all 3 knowledge areas work together. Crucial to remember that spotting this is the context that's new in your students. This may look differently when you walk in the classrooms because at the heart of TPAC is meeting students' needs.
Okay, so to kind of sum it up, just like the tip of an iceberg, the training sessions, the first section of our model, just cover the surface when it comes to helping our teachers effectively utilize technology in their lessons. Peer support is the base for all successful teachers integrating technology, and TPAC kind of is the whole iceberg. It's the basis for all lessons, the content standards, and the instructional strategies, and also integrating technology.
Okay, just to review, our model starts with training sessions. It leads into peer support, finishes up with technology integration, the TPAC model. But it's important to know that we created this knowing that it's a cyclical process. And once all the components of our model have been covered, it's important to start integrating TPAC into the training sessions and the peer support session.
And that's our project. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much, guys. And also a really quick thanks to the wonderful people at Slides Carnival who released the awesome free to use template that we used for our presentation. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.